A very good afternoon, everybody. In this live session, semester 2 students are going to make a presentation on Introduction to Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot is it was originally written in French language by Samuel Beckett and then translated by himself in English language also. And this play is one of the most renowned plays of 20th century. Anybody who studies drama as a form of literature, for them, studying Waiting for Godot is a necessary reading. It is as essential as that. It is also a part of a new school of drama, the new school of drama, which was later on known by Martin Esslin. Martin Esslin named it as Theatre of Absurd. So, under absurd theater, Waiting for Godot becomes a seminal work by Samuel Beckett. The play is a very awkward play in a way that it doesn't have a very fully grown character, so not even many characters also. In fact, we can say that there is not a single female character in the play. All characters are male characters only. There are 5 to 6 characters. If we considered titular Godot also as the character, the invisible character, then it makes for a pair of 6 characters we can see here. Otherwise, 5 characters which are seen performing on the stage. So let us have the introduction to this play by a group of students, that what are the things which can be studied from Waiting for Godot. So I invite the group of students to come one by one and make a presentation.
Hello everyone, I am Tanvi Mehra. Today we are introduce Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. These are table of content. Introduction. Playwright Samuel Beckett. Year of publication 1952 in French language. First performance 1953 and 1955. Genre absurdist drama and existentialist play. Structure: 2 acts, cyclical narrative, minimal action, repetitive dialogues. Language: originally written in French and later translated into English by Beckett himself. Setting: a desolate, featureless landscape with a single barren tree. Style: a blend of tragicomedy, dark humor, and existential questioning. Significance: a defining work of the theatre of the absurd, challenging traditional notions of plot, meaning, and human existence. About Samuel Beckett: he was also a playwright, novelist, poet, and a Nobel laureate. Born on April 30, 1906 in Dublin, Ireland. He was passed away on December 22, 1989 in Paris. He was also won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1969. Revolutionized the modern theater with Waiting for Godot. His works remain widely studied and performed. His ideas continue to influence literature, theater, and film. His major works: Waiting for Godot, it is most famous play. and Endgame, Krebs' Last Step, Happy Days, and his famous novels Molloy, Molondice, The Unnameable. Historical context: post-World War II trauma. The devastation of World War II left people questioning meaning, purpose, and existence. Disillusionment with traditional beliefs and institutions. The Cold War and existential fear. Rising tensions between the US and the Soviet Union created anxiety about unclear war, fear of destruction, and uncertainty about the future influence existentialist thought, cultural and social disillusionment. Economic recovery led to materialism, but people felt emotionally disconnected. Many questioned religion, politics, and societal roles, mirroring the play's themes. This is by my side. Now I would like to invite Divya Paledhara for further information. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Divya Paledhara. Today I am dealing with character, plot overview, and themes and symbols. Here the first, as we know, character is a one thing that a writer based on writing text, novels, short story, etc. So here the major character like Estragon and Vladimir, later Boy, Pozo, Lucky, and Godot. Here the first, Vladimir. Vladimir is a protagonist of the play. We see the absurdity of the human existence through the conversation of both characters. He is a logical and intellectual character who is concerned with time and philosophical ideas. Vladimir is read the Bible and tells the stories from Bible. Estragon calls him Didi and the boy addresses him as Mr. Albert. Later, Estragon. Estragon is the one of the protagonist character in this play. Also, he called as Gogo. He wears boot and lower hat. He seems weak and helpless, always looking for Vladimir's protection. He has a chronically poor memory. He spends most of his time trying to fall asleep, unless he is sleeping already. They demonstrate how human creates pointless and meaningless events in order to pass time. Later, Pozo and Lucky. Pozo is the clear and self-absorbed. He sees himself godlike figure. He refers himself as a human species, and Vladimir and Estragon are the same species as him. Of the same species as myself. Of the same species as Pozo, made in God's image. And the Lucky is the slave of Pozo, and he follows his order because he wants respect from his master, like a human tries to impress God to see that we are worth something. And here, boy and the Godot. A boy, a young messenger from Godot, delivers the message that Godot will come tomorrow. Claims not to remember previous visits. Says Godot treats his brother badly, but is kind to him. Appears fearful and hesitant. The Godot is an unseen character who never appears. The person Vladimir and Estragon are waiting for sends messages through the boy but never arrives. His identity and nature remain unknown. So this is the story, the plot overview of Waiting for Godot. Samuel Beckett's play divided in two acts. Here, the first act is the play opens on a barren road near a leafless tree, where Vladimir, Didi, and Estragon Gogo are waiting for Godot. True, they are unsure why their conversations are disjointed, filled with forgetfulness and attempts to pass the time. Estragon struggles with his boots, while Vladimir worries about his health, reflecting their meaningless actions. As they wait, Pozo, a cruel and arrogant man, arrives with his slave Lucky, whom he controls with a rope. Pozo treats Lucky harshly, but when asked to entertain, Lucky performs a bizarre, non-sensual thinking monologue, revealing the breakdown of logic. Pozo and Lucky leave, and soon a boy arrives. He tells them that Godot will not come today, but will surely come tomorrow. The act ends as they decide to leave, but remain standing. And this is the Act 2. The second act is almost a repetition of Act 1, but with subtle changes. The tree now has a few leaves, suggesting some time has passed. Vladimir and Estragon still wait for Godot, but their frustration and confusion grow. They struggle to remember past events, showing the uncertainty of memory and time. Pozo and Lucky return, but now Pozo is blind and Lucky is mute, symbolizing the decline of power and the passage of time. Pozo claims he does not remember meeting them before. He and Lucky leave, and again the boy arrives with the same message: Godot will come tomorrow. Vladimir and Estragon again discuss leaving but do not move, reinforcing the endless cycle of waiting and inaction. The play ends with them standing still, trapped in their hopeless routine. So here the poem which I put here is a reflection on waiting for Godot, as relate with the how existentialism and how character like Estragon and Vladimir is very do something kind of absurdity. So here the poem is પ્રતીક્ષાનો પ્રહસન, the farce of waiting. રસ્તા ઉપર પડછાયા ઉભા, કોણ કી શોધે કોણ કી ડરે, સમય આગળ વધતો રહે, અમે ત્યાં જ ઉભા એ જ જગ્યાએ, અવિરત રાહ અવ્યાખ્યાયી સમય, આજ કે કાલ શું ફરક પડે, એ આવશે એમને આવવું જ છે, પણ કદાચ કદી નહીં. સંવાદો છે, સંજોગો છે, પણ જીવન તો એક નાટક છે, કોઈ એનું દિગ્દર્શક છે નહીં, અને અંત ક્યાં એ પણ નક્કી નથી. હું અહીં છું, તું પણ અહીં, આપણું અસ્તિત્વ છે કે આભાસ, રાહ જોવી, સમય પસાર કરવો કે એક નવી રાહ શોધવી. This is the poem which I for the more understand play how Vladimir and Estragon is waiting for Godot, a poetic reflection on waiting for Godot. A poem perfectly connects with waiting for Godot by reflecting its core existential themes. First, the endless cycle of waiting. Poem અવિરત રાહ અવ્યાખ્યાયી સમય આજ કે કાલ શું ફરક પડે, and play. Just like Vladimir and Estragon, the poem's narrator waits indefinitely, questioning whether time even matters. In the play, they keep waiting for Godot, who never comes, just as the poem hints at a promised arrival that may never happen. Second, the false hope and absurdity. Poem એ આવશે એમને આવવું જ છે, પણ કદાચ કદી નહીં. And the play, this reflects Godot's constant yet unfulfilled promise. The boy repeatedly tells them that Godot will come tomorrow, but tomorrow never arrives. The poem captures this absurdity of hope leading nowhere. And the third is existential uncertainty. Poem હું અહીં છું, તું પણ અહીં, આપણું અસ્તિત્વ છે કે આભાસ. And the play is this mirrors the existential crisis of Vladimir and Estragon. Do they really exist, or are they just stuck in an illusion? The play repeatedly questions reality, time, and purpose, just as the poem says. And here, the themes in Waiting for Godot: absurdity of life, the meaningless and repetitive nature of existence. Second, waiting and meaninglessness, endless waiting for unknown purpose, existentialism and nihilism, struggle to find meaning in life. Then, time and memory, cyclical time and forgetfulness, human suffering and dependency, reliance on others despite suffering. Later, religious undertones, Godot as a possible godlike figure, loneliness and companionship, human need for connection. And here, hope or unattainable goal, the tree, life, death, and false hope. Later, goods and heads, physical suffering, good versus intellectual struggle, hate. Pozo and Lucky, power dynamics and oppression. the rope, control, slavery, and despair, and the moon, time spaces, and repetitive cycles. Now, I would like to invite for further information Krupali, and this is from my side. Thank you.
So, existentialism and waiting for Godot. Existentialism is a philosophy that emphasizes individual existence, freedom, and choice. It originated with 19th century philosopher Soren Kierkegaard and Friedrich Nietzsche, who laid the foundation for ideas later expanded by Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, and Simon Beckett. It holds that if there is no God or any other transcendent force, the only way to counter this nothingness is by embracing existence. Thus, existentialism believes that individuals are entirely free and must take personal responsibility for themselves. Although it has much in common with nihilism, existentialism in more a reaction against traditional philosophies such as the rationalism, empiricism, and positivism that seeks to discover an ultimate order and universal. Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot is a prime example of existentialist thought in literature. The play presents two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, who endlessly wait for someone named Godot, who never arrives. Their repetitive conversation, uncertainty, and struggle with meaning reflect existentialist idea of absurdity, free will, and the search for purpose in an indifferent universe. A definition of absurd theater. So, according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, it defines absurd theater as a theater that seeks to represent the absurdity of human existence in meaningless universe by bizarre of fantastic means. What is absurd theater? So, the theater of absurd is term coined by critic Martin Esslin in his essay Theater of Absurd. The term is used for work of a number of playwrights, mostly written in 1950 and 1960. These works were created by primarily European playwrights in the late 19th century. The works show that life has no meaning or purpose, and when problems occurs, trying to find solution only makes things worse, leading to confusion and silence. Here are example are absurd literature. So Samuel Beckett's Endgame, The Bald Soprano by Eugene Ionesco, The Jades by Eugene Ionesco, and Krappa's Last Trip by Samuel Beckett are a prime example of this. Waiting for Godot is a theater of the absurd. Waiting for Godot exemplifies theater of the absurd by portraying meaningless existence through repetitive dialogues, circular reasoning, and aimless plot. Vladimir and Estragon waited endlessly for Godot, who never arrived, highlighting existential uncertainty and the futility of human actions. The play fragmented a speech and illogical sequence emphasize the absurdity of life and endless cycle of waiting. Lucky speech from babbling to silence. Lucky, one of the four main characters, babbles his way to silence in Act One. Lucky talks a lot in Act One, but his speech is messy and confusing. By the end of the play, he stops speaking completely, showing his decline. His speech is continuous from a run-on. Unpunctuated, idiotic word and phrases a paper bag full of nonsense through at the audience face. His speech is one long sentence without breaks or punctuation. It sounds random words thrown together, making it difficult to understand. Though seemingly verbal in nature, it holds an unexpected form of poetic rationality and reinforces the themes of the play. The speech not only absurd, it argues for absurdity. A lucky speech doesn't just sound absurd, it actually supports the idea and life itself, absurd and meaninglessness, which is a key theme in the play. Lucky, like white beard god, he speaks of a Pharisaic quote in the process of going silent. Once he taught plus a beautiful things, but in Act 2, he becomes the completely dumb. His speech dictatorize internally as a fast version. It has three distinctive parts. Part 1 and 2 are recognizable syntax, and in part 3 lacks syntax with more emphasic interjections. Significance of lucky speech, embodiment and absurdity. The speech appears meaningless but reinforces the play's theme that life itself lacks inherent meaning. Breakdown of communication. Lucky's gradual loss of speech mirrors the failure of language and rational thought in the absurd world. Symbol of human decline. His mental and verbal dictatorial inventivity of decay. Contrast to other characters, unlike Vladimir and Estragon, who struggle to find meaning in waiting, Lucky descend into complete silence, showing a different kind of existential fate. Critique of intellectualism, the speech thought filled with scholarly sounding words ultimately collapses into nonsense, mocking blind reliance on knowledge and reason and meaningless world. So this is from my side. Now I would like to invite Smruti Vadher for further information.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to present the two topics, the myth of Sisyphus and the circular nature of the play Waiting for Godot. Sisyphus, here you can see in the picture, is a figure from a Greek mythology who was condemned by Zeus to an eternal punishment for his deceitfulness and craftiness. His punishment requires him to repeatedly roll a massive boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back down each time he reaches to the summit. A never-ending cycle of futile labor. As the king of Ephyra, Sisyphus was known for his cunning and had committed various transgressions, including cheating death, betraying Zeus's secrets, and tricking heads to escape the underworld, or we can say gods. Instead of lamenting his fate, Sisyphus accepts it. He finds purpose not in the outcome, but in the act of itself. This is the essence of the absurd. Life has no inherent meaning, but one can find meaning in perseverance. Sisyphus knows that when he pushes the boulder up side the hill, it gradually will fall down again, and he will have to do the same work for every day and every night. This act of him reflects that he understood that his fate, and he continues to struggle with it by accepting it. He does not look for a final purpose, but instead embraces his meaningless task. His punishment symbolizes endless labor without reward or progress. The myth of Sisyphus and Waiting for Godot. Albert Camus' famous quote is, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy." How we can see that Sisyphus is happy with his work doing the pushing the roll upside, and he never complains about that, or he never say no to his work, or he never denied to it. And in the play Waiting for Godot, we can see Vladimir and Estragon as waiting for Godot every day and all the time, endlessly, just as Sisyphus rolls his rock endlessly. The tramps wait for Godot. Despite their awareness of the futility, they continue waiting for Godot. They continue anyway, despite the absurdity that shows that continuing that meaningless work. And the rock in Sisyphus's myth and is equal to the act of waiting in the play, as they both symbolize the labor of existence. Both reflect the human tendency to seek purpose in purposelessness. The circular nature of the play, as Divya mentioned, the play is written in a repetitive manner. The structure of Waiting for Godot is intentionally repetitive and circulative, emphasizing the stagnation and futility of human existence. The two acts mirror each other with variations but no real progress, as their life is stuck in at one point. They repeatedly do same work, as we find sometimes we also feel like we are doing the same work every day without any progression or anything. Here in Act 1, we can see the starting of Act 1 is with Vladimir and Estragon alone waiting for Godot. And in the same we can find in Act 2. And in Act 1, the arrival of Bozo and Lucky, same in Act 2. Departure of Bozo and Lucky, same in Act 2. Arrival of boy messenger to say that Godot will not come today. The Act 2 represents the same situations and same consequences with the characters. The departure of boy messenger, and again Vladimir and Estragon along with their situations of their boots and heads and another things. This repetition suggests that time passes, but nothing truly changes. The play forces us to confront the illusion of progress, where life itself is a series of repeated actions without resolution. These are two dialogues from Act 1 and Act 2. At the end of each act, the same exchanges are occurred, but nothing changes, suggesting the repetition. In Act 1, in the ending of Act 1, Estragon says that, well, shall we go? And Vladimir, yes, let's go. And still they don't move. And Act 2, they do the same. Vladimir says, well, shall we go? And they say, yes, let's go. But they don't move and continues to wait for Godot. The ending, the stagnation suggests that waiting for Godot is not just a physical act, but a state of existence. Their inability to move symbolizes humanity's struggle with inaction, indecision, and the search for the meaning in an uncertain world. Finally, Beckett's use of repetition highlights several core concepts like the suffering of the tramps, their futile attempts to pass time, their repeated attempts to part. The suffering of the tramps, Vladimir and Estragon endure physical and emotional hardships, yet their condition never changes. Their futile attempts to pass time, they engage in meaningless conversations and actions, hoping to distract themselves from the endless waiting. Their repeated attempts to part, despite contemplating separation, they always remain together, bound by their shared existence. By these three core contents, and including the fourth one is incessant waiting for Godot. Combining all these four make the two acts clearly repetitive, circulative in nature, and the fact that these repetitions are so obvious in the play is Beckett's manner of breaking away from the traditional play in which we see the rising action and then some pyramid type of falling action and other things. Samuel Beckett tries to break down this traditional method of written some literature and of asserting the uniqueness of his own circular structure. In conclusion, in Waiting for Godot, Samuel Beckett challenges the conventional structure of a drama presenting a play that reflects the absurdity of human existence. Through its circular narrative, repetitive dialogue, and lack of progression, The play forces us to confront the endless cycle of waiting and uncertainty that define life itself. Vladimir and Estragon remain trapped in their routine, waiting for Godot, who never arrives, just as people often wait for meaning or purpose that may never materialize. The play's themes are deeply tied to existentialist and absurdist philosophy, particularly Albert Camus' concept of the absurd. Like Sisyphus condemned to roll a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down, the characters in Waiting for Godot engage in an endless and meaningless struggle of waiting, yet they persist. Their suffering, their attempts to pass time, and their repeated discussions about living and never moving highlight the futility of human actions in a world devoid of clear meaning. Beckett does not offer solutions but leaves us with a question: how do we continue in a world without clear meaning? The play suggests that despite uncertainty, endurance itself becomes the essence of existence. These are the references. Thank you so much.
Okay, so hello, getting my voice? Hello. Okay, fine. So quite well presented uh, about the author, the works, the characters, themes, and the concluding remarks were also very well presented. The thematic concern of existentialism, the philosophy of existentialism is the backbone to understand Waiting for Godot. And it was very well connected with the idea of Sisyphus, or we can say myth of Sisyphus, Albert Camus' work, Myth of Sisyphus. And this connection also was very good. These two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, are seen as Sisyphus, and they're waiting. It is an abstract thing. Waiting is an abstract thing, is concretized as a rock. So that was a very good connection presented in the by the last present. I think Smruti presented that. Okay, so we end the live stream and we'll continue our classroom discussion.